Hi everyone, my name is Monty, and I'm here to talk about the importance of cybersecurity in smart cities. So by now, most of us probably have heard about smart cities, but do you actually know what goes behind the smart cities technologies? What makes basically what make a regular city turn into a smart cities? So smart city is an urban area that uses different type of electronic Internet of Things, and it uses comprehensive infrastructure solution that able to enable a wide range of technologies such as smart grids, smart utility systems, intelligent building, smart traffic, street light, smart street lamps, and also mobility solution that contribute greater accessibility to the city services and more efficient and more cost effective. And it's also improved the management style of the city assets and resources. And also it's also to promote the eco-friendly environment. So it's basically just designed to increase the productivity, efficiency, availability, accessibility of the city assets and resources to help improve the quality of people life. And the reason that I want to talk about the cybersecurity importance to the smart city is because while these everyday objects that we see on the street turning into a smart device, we also going at a constant rate where uh, everyday objects go turning into nodes on a network on the internet, which is hackable, which means that we also increase double, triple number of um, attack entry points and also created different frontiers of cyber attacks with smart city technologies. Different frontiers of cyber attacks with smart city technologies. Okay, so this might be a silly question, but as a cybersecurity student, and I feel obligated to answer. And the question is why cybersecurity is important. So, in smart cities, cybersecurity will play a big role on keeping the citizens secure. In the near future, everything we see, we touch, everything that we walk past by, everything that we use in our daily lives, it, it will be all connected. We will live in a society with open data where everything is shared. And cybersecurity, and sometimes it's hard to draw a line between privacy and efficiency. And cybersecurity professionals have to be there to make sure that people are staying that make sure that people are staying connected but also secure at the same time. So with the smart city growing, it also creates more complex infrastructure and countless vulnerabilities that could come along that can be exploited by terrorists, cyber criminals, and or even unintentional errors that humans make. Everyday objects turning into smart devices is just scary because number of the nodes on the network also increases, and with smart cities technologies devices that extensively do gathering data, and it could lead to the privacy issue. So we have to ask ourselves whether privacy is more important or efficiency is more important. And cybersecurity will be there to make sure that we all stay connected and ready for smart cities, but we also have to be secure at the same time. Okay, so to help you better understand the risks and threats that could come with the smart city technologies, I will use two examples of the technologies that will be deploying and already deploying. What the first one we're going to talk about is smart grid. So smart grid is a complex ecosystem that require different systems network, and various of type technologies like Internet of Things and communication uh, technologies that 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 enable users and consumer and utility providers to be able to communicate through smart meters uh, or through an application or software. So, and with uh, the so smart grid is just a digital a, a digital version of electronic grid. It's digital software that sit digital infrastructure that sit on top of the electric grid. So it will so basically it will just help the provider and consumer communicate and adjust their power demand at a lower cost and more efficiency and more availability. It also create more reliability uh, after disasters or disturbance like thunderstorm or any natural cause. So the biggest concern about smart grid is that it can be hacked by cyber criminals, terrorists, and it could be used to create severe damage throughout the city, throughout people's life. So the main attack that we're gonna talk about for smart grid is the DDoS, permanent DDoS attack, which can leave us without power utilities for a month, for 2, 3 weeks until the terrorists got what they want or cyber criminal got what they want. And that is the biggest risk that we will have to face if smart grid is not properly uh, protected or the data is not fully encrypted. And so smart grids will use technologies like TCP/IP that creates two-way communication, and that the communication is the most is the threats, is the vulnerability that could play in smart cities. Uh, so if the communication or data in transmission is not encrypted, it could be spoofed. Bad guy could spoof the data and make a error request and manipulate the request that potentially result in different kind of uh, 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 outcome of the smart grids. With smart grid being the most critical and one of the most complex ecosystems that require different system, it also create a wide range of attacks, exploitate attack entry points, and it is a big target for any cyber criminals or bad guys to to exploit vulnerability because with one compromised system, compromised infrastructure, it basically could control the entire cities. It could paralyze the power of a city, which can cost us a lot of damages in economic standpoints or even security standpoints, and many more that we couldn't even think of right now. And another technology that we can talk about, we most of us probably have already seen it. If you live in a city area, you probably have seen it, like which is smart traffic light. It might, you could probably encounter this before when you drive driving alone in a when you got stopped on at a red light in the middle of the night with no cars around you, but your light is red. So you're trying to move or motion, trying to make a motion for a sensor to detect your presence of your vehicle to trigger the signal to make the light change. And that is a smart traffic. It uses detectors, sensor, and many more technologies just to detect your presence, the vehicle present, or the flow of the traffic, or congestion, or any accident that happened. So, intelligent traffic lights are very critical for cyber physical system that helps smart city to cut road congestions, and vehicle emission, and also it promotes more eco-friendly environment. However, they also open a new frontier of cyber attacks or any or that could cause just by a hack of a signal controller. And smart traffic is part of the critical function of transportation infrastructure. And however, it's still very vulnerable to cyber attack because when it was deployed back in 2016, the manufacturer or the developer of the smart traffic wasn't really think of it, didn't think of security aspect, didn't do much of the security aspect of this smart traffic. So systematic lack of security, which is very scary if you're gonna live in a smart city where everything is hackable and your traffic light controller could be hacked and it could cause tremendous accidents or any road congestion. You imagine you're in DC, everywhere is you stuck in the traffic, and everywhere is blocked, and there's ambulance, police car that cannot get through because of the traffic, and that is that that creates the situation that put people in the life or death situation, and the potential risk of smart traffic is it with severe traffic congestion, it could also increase crash risk. And you can imagine if the traffic light controller is hacked, anybody could change the data, could manipulate the data, and trigger wrong signal controls, wrong signal that that could outcome in severe accidents or fatal accidents, and it could also create failure. So smart cities, smart traffic lights, it could be used to communicate with vehicles, which could lead to, which could lead to compromised vehicle system, and that you are not in. So that when your vehicle is compromised, you are no longer in control. You're not the one who's behind the wheel anymore, and that is scary. And that is the risk that we have to live in if we don't do anything about if we don't think or aware or alert about the security of smart cities right now. And I believe that the countermeasure of uh, the smart cities. So you probably ask, how what can we do about these kind of risks that we're gonna face in the future? First of all, I believe that people should be aware and more alert what what is coming in front of them. And I believe that education is really important when it's come to preventing and protecting uh, and securing your personal data or securing your life or everyday your privacy. So, uh, local governments or national or state government uh, should campaign local education programs that could help people understand what we're living with, and and what to do and what not to do. So the threats won't be so the vulnerability won't be exploited. We could close the gap for the cyber criminal or terrorists to come in. And with smart cities, we will need uh, a robust measure countermeasures to come in to play because it's just not one system. It's a complex infrastructure that require a lot of system, a lot of many various type of technology. So we will have to be able to have various robust defense measure uh, to be able to make sure that people are still connected but also secure. And you probably ask, why should we be concerned? The government will be there to protect us. But you know what? In reality, the law, restriction, regulation is always slower than the people. There will be many incidents or damages that already happened before the government or the federal, state, local authority or law enforcement do it before they do anything. So we have to rely on ourselves. We need to be more aware and more alert because according to NBC News, the police department has been hacked multiple times, and they are the one in charge of protecting us. And that already shows where we are with cybersecurity. Because the reason that police department was hacked because their equipment, their devices, their computers are ancient. They don't have the budget to update like update every single computers on small station or small town police department. It's and which is scary because these files, some of the criminal cases, and some of the file or records have been deleted just by because the police department was hacked, and that probably that is not acceptable. And police even said that we are the policemen. We're the police. We don't pay the ransom, and that's not going to be the case when it comes to smart cities, because everything is all connected. When one device is compromised, one system is compromised, it could lead to the whole infrastructure being compromised, and that will leave us in a great danger of terrorists taking over our cities.
So I believe that to be able to protect the smart cities, for us to stay secure while being connected, law enforcement, state or local government, they should pay more attention on the cybersecurity aspect. And these developers that been working on smart city, smart city technologies, they should involve uh, security of a system more, and don't think of cybersecurity as a retrofit for their products. It should come with it. It should just We shouldn't have the vulnerabilities that come with it whenever we deploy the device or the technology. It should it should be one of the function of these devices. So if we don't properly address this issue of the smart cities security threats or risks, we gonna have to ask ourselves whether are we willing to trade in our privacy for efficiency in the future for living in the smart cities.